Today, I'm gonna show you how to do this, and even this, all in Premiere Pro. Welcome back to Roy's Digital Workshop, where I'm your host, Roy, and we're gonna go over a bunch of Premiere Pro transitions today. So sit back, open up Premiere Pro. Hopefully you can expand on these if you want, but let's take a look at some of them.
It's Pixel Pals. Pixel Pals. Tell your moms, kids, Pixel Pals.
Okay, tip number one, I'm gonna call the basic 3D swivel effect. Now this is a real simple one that you could add a lot of things to, but I just want to show you the basic building blocks of it. So let's get into Premiere. Here in Premiere, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add two different clips here. And what we're gonna do with these clips is we wanna transition through them with some kind of basic 3D swivel. So the easiest thing for us to do is to add the clips in here. Then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna search basic 3D. So I wanna head right to the middle of the two clips and I wanna go back 10 frames. And right here is where I wanna set my keyframe for swivel. And I wanna keep that at 0. So what I want this to do is I want this to go away. And when I swivel to 90 degrees, that's gonna actually make it go away, because what it does is it spins basically the orientation of where it's gonna be. So what I wanna do is I wanna catch that over here. And I want to go to the middle of the clip and go forward 10 frames. Now I wanna go ahead and set my swivel again to 0 because I want it to come back. Now, if I go back and set this to 90 to catch, you're gonna see something kind of funny that happens. So let's set that to 90 and let's play through our transition. And it kind of goes in and out, which is not exactly what we're looking for. So instead of going to 90 here at the beginning of the second clip, we're gonna actually change this to -90. Now, when I play through, it gives me a nice full, almost 360 degree feeling. Okay, so now I want to get into the more complex track matting. Last week we talked about how to just switch it with simple shapes, but you know what? This week let's go with something more complex. Okay, so what I want to do for the track mat is, number one, I have 3 clips. I have this clip getting into a car. I have this clip here of the car driving, and then I also have this, which is going to be what I use for my track mat. It's just a little ink splash, but as you can see, it's more complex. It's a video. Now I want to use that as my transition. So I have to make sure that these are lined up together properly. And this clip here, I'm going to slide in underneath so it ends at the same time as the ink spot ends. I want to go ahead and cut right here. And on this little piece now, I want to go ahead and go to effects, and now I want to search for track map. Add it to the portion of your clip that is underneath the ink spot. And then change the mat to video 3, which is where my ink spot is. Okay, you'll notice nothing really happens here. Why? Because again, we're defaulting to matte alpha. We want to go ahead and switch that to matte luma. And now we can see what happens is when I transition in, so where the black area was is going to be the initial video that we have here. When the white area was, it's going to start revealing and peeling through this, this layer here. So as you can play through this, you see it kind of gives you a nice little transition there. Okay, the black area, remember in masks, is like a wall. You can't see through the wall, so this part here is going to be the wall. The white area is like your window. You can see through the window. So as this spreads and does its thing, making the whole thing a window to see through. Okay, so tip number 3 today, transition 3, is gonna be this whip effect. Basically, we're gonna change from one scene to another. So I have 2 clips here that if I transition through, it's just gonna be a jump cut. What I wanna do is go ahead and apply this adjustment layer and drag it right on top in between them. On this adjustment layer, basically what I want to do is add 2 things. Go to effects, and I'm gonna add the offset. And then I'm gonna add a Gaussian blur. Okay, what offset is going to do is it's actually going to change the way this looks, and Gaussian blur is going to make it so it can make it look like it's a natural movement. So right in the beginning here, I'm going to want to make 2 keyframes at this shift center 2 property of the offset and the blurriness of the Gaussian blur. And at the very end, I'm going to change this just to negative 1920. And then I'm also gonna add a blurriness keyframe here at 0 as well. And the last thing I wanna do is make sure I go right to the middle here. And in my blurriness panel, I'm gonna wanna raise that up pretty high. Let's go 390. So what's gonna happen here is as I transition this through, you see the offset go in from one side to the other, as well as the blur increasing, getting maximum blurriness here and decreasing down. Now, you can even make this a little bit smaller here if you don't want to have all that timing. And if we play that through, see it goes a little bit faster. So the offset gives you a pretty cool transition as well. Okay, so tip 4 is gonna be what I call the mask flash. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna transition from one scene to the next by using the second scene mask of a piece of it. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so I have these two clips here. I have a player and then I have a player in game, and I wanna just have a cool little transition in between them. First thing I wanna do is I want to duplicate this layer, the transition 2 layer, and I wanna find the very beginning. So I can go right to the beginning here, and I'm gonna right click on it and scroll down to add frame hold. Basically what that's gonna do is it's gonna freeze that frame all the way through. Let's zoom in a little bit. I want to go ahead and make this just one frame long. So if I go here and just push over once, I'm gonna drag this here to the line, and you can see I have a very, very tiny little frame hold. All right, so what this frame hold is gonna do is it's actually gonna be what I use for my transition. Let's go ahead and drag this over here. Whoops. When it's so tiny like this, it's hard to use. And what I'm gonna do on this frame is cut out that player. So here we go. And don't worry too much about your precision, and you'll see why here in a minute. Okay, so now that I have this player cut out, I'm gonna right click on it and I have to nest this or else it's not gonna work properly. So go ahead and nest it. And then I'm gonna go up to my effects panel and add a Gaussian blur to this. When I click on it, I'm gonna set the blurriness to something like 600. Okay, I just want a little flash there. And I'm gonna duplicate this about 8 more times. Okay, I want these clips to end right as my first clip ends here. And if you play it through, it's just gonna give me a little blink. But what I wanna do is I wanna decrease that blur every time by a little bit. Let's go 525 here. Okay, so now that those are all decreasing in blur, now I wanna bring the clip, the actual clip, not the one that we froze, and now I wanna play this through. And as you can see, there's a cool little transition that happens as the player comes into focus out of the blur and kind of blinks in there, and it goes right smoothly transitions into the second frame. Okay, so the final thing I want to talk about is this glitch effect. And you see this a lot in music videos and just pretty much any video in general. And it's really cool, and there's a lot you can do with it. So what I started off with is 2 clips here, and I put an adjustment layer right in between them. And as you can kind of tell right now, we're gonna add our transition here to this adjustment layer. So I wanna go to effects and I wanna search VR, chromatic aberrations, and I wanna place that on the adjustment layer. And you can see what that does. It kind of separates the blues and greens and reds. And if I just play that through, it's not really transitioning, right? So what I want to do is I got to set some keyframes. Number 1, let's take off this auto VR properties, and we want to set the frame layout to over under, because basically what I want that to do is stretch the blues and greens and reds up and down. Okay, you can see how it's moving up and down here. And then what I want to do is go to the beginning of the clip, and I want to set these 4 items to 0. So red, green, blue, and the fall off distance. Go ahead and add a keyframe to each one of those and drag them to the front of the clip. Now add a keyframe to each one of them again and add them to the back of the clip. Okay, what we're doing is we're just setting a start point and an end point. So I'm gonna go to the middle of the clip here, right where the transition needs to be. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just adjust these based off of whatever I think. It could be random, however you want. But the one thing you want to make sure is you set the fall off distance to 100. That's really going to give you a glitchy effect here. All right, so as I transition through now, we can see we're going to start off with this image. Everything is on the adjustment layer, so it doesn't matter what clip I have here. And as I play through, you see it kind of stretches out and comes back in. I think 10 frames is going to be good. 20 frames for the whole animation here. Yeah, 10 frames seems to be what works well. So I hope those 5 transitions helped you understand how to build these custom transitions, which is one of the most powerful tools that you can do as a video editor. This will help you tell your story. This will help enhance your video, so it's not always just those jump cuts, right? So again, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week, but you'll see us Friday for the pod.
It's Pixel Pals. Tell your mom, tell your kids, it's Pixel Pals. Everyone is subscribing to Pixel Pals. All y'all theys, all y'all thems, it's Pixel Pals.